All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about something huge today, one of the most expensive and, frankly, persistent problems in the business world. I'm talking about bad leadership. But, it's not all doom and gloom. We're also going to look at some really fascinating research that points to a totally new way to find the great leaders we all desperately need.
So, first things first, to really get why this is such a big deal, we have to talk about the cost. And I mean the cold, hard cash. The financial stakes when we pick our leaders are, well, they're just mind-boggling. So let me ask you a quick question. Just think about it for a second. What do you think is a company's single most expensive mistake? And I'm not talking about a bad ad campaign or a product that flops. What's the biggest financial blunder they can make? Well, here's the answer, according to some pretty deep research. $1 million. That's it. That's the number. And that figure alone should make anyone in charge just stop and think. But what on earth does that number even represent?
This is the crazy part. That's not some 10-year total. Research from Developmental Dimensions says that's the minimum cost to have one new executive on the payroll for just one single year. Think about that. Every time a company hires a senior leader, they're placing a $1 million bet. And when that bet goes wrong, wow, the fallout is massive. So if the cost is that insane, why does it keep happening? Why do so many leaders fail? Well, that brings us right to the heart of the matter. We're basically in a full-blown crisis when it comes to how we select our leaders. And the scale of this problem is just staggering. A study from Manchester Consulting found that four out of every 10 senior leaders fail within the first 18 months. That's 40%. It's practically a coin toss whether a new high-level hire will actually make it. And the problem doesn't just start after they get the job. It starts way before, with how we even find them. And here's the scariest part. Only about a third of companies in the US think they're any good at spotting future leaders in the first place. There's this huge gap between what we need and how we're looking for it. So here's the big what if. What if the problem isn't that there's a shortage of talented people out there? What if the real problem is that our tools, the interviews, the personality tests, the whole promotion process, are all built on a really old, outdated idea of what makes a good leader?
This research zeroes in on 3 of those intelligences that seem to be powerfully connected to leadership. First, you've got interpersonal intelligence. That's your people skills. Then intrapersonal. That's your self-awareness, how well you know yourself. And finally, linguistic intelligence, your ability to communicate and inspire with words. I mean, when you lay them out like that, doesn't that just scream great leader to you?
So, this all leads us to the big takeaway. And honestly, this isn't just for CEOs. This gives every single one of us a new way to think about what it really means to be a leader.
This right here really shows the shift. On the one side, you have the old school way of thinking. It's all about technical skills and that classic IQ. But then you have this new view, which values things like social skills and self-awareness just as much. It's about moving away from this one-size-fits-all idea and recognizing that great leaders come in all different shapes and sizes with all different kinds of strengths.
And really, this is the bottom line. This is the main point of this whole thing. If our definition of smart is too narrow, if we're only looking for one kind of intelligence, then it's almost guaranteed that we're missing out on some of our best potential leaders.
So, I'll just leave you with this final thought. In a world that is facing so many complex problems, a world that is crying out for better, more empathetic leaders, are we absolutely sure we're promoting the right kind of intelligence to find them? Something to think about.